Alrighty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another market update. Hope everybody's having a lovely day, and with that being said, let's get into the TA. All right, so I first want to point out the SPY is in this pennant, and if you want to look at it like this, you can look at this as, hey, you have the Mr. Bull flag going on here. Second thing I'll point out is you came down here and you were bouncing off your 0.236 fib, just like you have been, for the past three bounces over here. And yes, over here and here did form this pennant that we have. So we are waiting to see which way it breaks. Breaks up. All right. The next point of resistance you want to be watching is really if you can see, if you could base over this 443.90 level. And if you can, that would set you up for something along the lines of this, which would be pretty nice to see. I'm not saying that does happen. I am, I'm in more support of a pullback down here. And let me just point out, you do still have this gap down here, and as well as this is your demand zone. So if you do end up getting back down here, I think you probably would get a bounce. And now let's move over to QQQ. I want to point out, QQ is doing the exact same thing with this 0.236 fib over here. But I do want to point out, since you did come down here, you did, yes, you closed above it, but you did have this lower high get put in. Now, it's not lower than over here, but you would have liked to see this level hold right here and you not put that in. So unless you can break above the high of day, then I would say this is looking like you're probably going to end up pulling back. But until you do end up, starting to break down here and then you have to break down here, then hey, all right, you are looking pretty solid. And I would suspect you're probably going to be holding the line. But if you do end up breaking down here, then obviously you're watching where we, opened at open today. Which is going to be right around 368.70-ish, we'll call it. And the two zones I really am going to be watching is this one and then this one. Now, I'm going to bring up this volume profile here, right? I do think it's like, if you come down here, I think it's more likely you are going to end up, cutting through this thing, and you're going to come, and this area down here is going to act as a magnet. First of all, you have your demand zone down there. You got your gap fill down there. You got the point of control down there. So we know that is where the heavy trading is going on. So if you do end up making your way down here, I am going to be watching for this level to hold. And if it doesn't, then yeah, I think you're probably going to start sinking through the zone here, and you're going to make your way down here, which is about a $3 drop. Now I'm stepping over here to IWM. I'm going to point out here. All right, again, all right, you're bouncing off your fib level this morning. Let's just delete that to make our chart nice and pretty here. I'm going to point out the same thing I did earlier this morning, which is you do have this head and shoulders bottom formation. So this is what I am watching for. If you do end up coming down here, I think that is just going to be your higher low in this, just this uptrend that you established here. I think it's going to look something like this. All right. And I think if you want to be going long, this is somewhere where you should be pulling that trigger. So just something I thought I'd throw in there. And Apple, all right, because, Apple is going to be a thing that is ultimately moving SPY and QQQ. So QQQ just loves to follow Apple, and SPY is usually not too far behind. I want to point out you had this head and shoulders top formation here. So that was a bearish structure. You did end up getting the 15-minute close right over here. And from that point, I was looking for 190.07 to be the magnet that price attracts to. Now, what I am going to be watching is this zone here. If you come back up here and you cannot get a 15-minute close above here, then I am going to look for this short-term downtrend to resume here. All right, so that would be your lower high, and then you would be making your lower low down here. Now, I don't know if price just stops here, but I am pointing out if Apple does decide to do that and you don't see the 15-minute close above this level right here, and we have to assume that, yeah, it's going to drag down SPY and QQQ. And like I just pointed out, you do have this lower low being put in over here in the short-term side of things. But yeah, that is pretty much all I am really watching for. Let's just take a look at the daily chart. Let's get rid of everything right here. So obviously you have this big, fat, nasty gap. Oh, sorry about that. You have this big, fat, nasty gap going on down here. And I want to point out you do have increasing buy volume, but we had a half day on, on Monday. So if you do, if it's not really telling too much, that's what I want to say right here. QQ, it's the same, but again, it's not really telling too much. You do have a bullish engulfing candlestick on QQQ at the current point in time. So if you have the volume back that up, it's not the worst thing in the world. So to me, guys, things really aren't looking too bad. Now, I do also want to bring up Tesla over here. Let's just, where's Mr. Tesla? There we go. Actually, let's talk about Meta, guys. Meta's going crazy. So that's something that, let's just put this on right there. I want to point out, you literally don't have any resistance up until this gap fill at 316.87. So have a blast with that one. But Tesla, I want to point out, I do think a dip is going to be eaten. You did gap up over here and you had a 7% day. So if you do end up making your way down to this gap fill, I do think that is, you know, the dip's probably going to be eaten back up and it's going to look something like that. So pretty much those are the things I am watching for. It's pretty much it. And let me actually just close out the video with Bitcoin over here. I want to point out Bitcoin was, I think I saw this on the hourly time frame. Yeah, so Bitcoin does have this potential head and shoulders top formation right here. All right. But honestly, guys, I do think this is looking pretty solid. Let me just double click there. And we did have our hourly RSI reaching oversold territory over here, which, you know, that is marked your buying opportunities right here. Let me just mark this out for us. All right. So we had that going on right there. You have that going on right there. You have one right there. Oh, there we go. One right there. One right there. And let's see where those were. All right. You had that was over there. That was over there, and like, you know, you didn't have the biggest bounce, but you know, it was a 4% bounce. It was $1,000. All right, over here you had a decent sized bounce from that point, $2,000. Over here, you know, you put in a bullish divergence, then you know you had a little decent sized bounce. All right, and as of right now, we just haven't seen all of that. So I do think it's probably going to make its way back up. Maybe it starts making its way back up right here. All right, so maybe we see something like that, and then maybe rejection happens there. We're gonna have to see what happens. But to me, guys, this really isn't looking all too bad, all right? If we just take away all this, all right? Now, Bitcoin's just doing its thing. It's just consolidating. We could be in a massive consolidation like what's happening over here. But yeah, you put these things back on, and guys, you really don't have any resistance. If you do end up breaking above the high over here, all right, you will not have much resistance. You have 32.3K up there, and after that, is you're coming all the way up to like 37.5K. So that is what I am going to be paying attention to. I guess I know we've ended out the video now with like, you know, 3 or 4 tickers, but here you go over here on Riot. All right, Riot is literally stalling out like exactly at its supply zone. This is why, you know, we talk about the things we talk about here on the channel. All right, this is where the reactions come, and I want to point out Mara has actually broken out of there and did have this inverse head and shoulders formation, the head and shoulders bottom, and you don't have any resistance on Mara now until 18, yeah, just about 1850 up there. So that is what I'm going to be watching for. If Bitcoin just doesn't crap the bed, I think these will have some more momentum. Am I going to say it's the safest thing going along here? No. All right, you would have wanted to do that, you know, over here like on Mara. You would have wanted to do it right here, right on Riot over here. You did end up having the breakout this day right here, and the next day you exploded. So you know, that would have been the preferable spot to add these names, but I thought I'd include them because I'm sure people trade them. All right, with that being said, guys, please like the video if you enjoyed it or you found value in this, or if I just made you laugh. And I will catch you in the next one. Peace.